The line is moving. You are already 8 minutes behind. You toss your bag on the belt, step through the scanner, same as always, and the belt stops. An officer pulls your bag aside. What he is about to remove is not contraband. It is something you have packed dozens of times without a second thought. Most travelers have no idea it is being flagged in 2026. You are about to. I have broken down the exact electronics being confiscated at US checkpoints in 2026, and at least one is probably in your bag right now, split into 5 categories. And the last one catches absolutely everyone off guard. Let's start with the first category. Quietly costing travelers hundreds of dollars before their flights even begin, battery-powered travel gear. You spent $380 on a smart suitcase. It charges your phone wirelessly, tracks its own location, and you've flown with it 4 times without an issue. You check it at the counter, hand it over, and head to security. 30 minutes later, a gate agent pages your name. Before I tell you how to fix this, you need to understand exactly how bad it can get. Here's what's actually going on. The TSA and the FAA classify all lithium-ion batteries as thermal runaway hazards. These are batteries that can overheat, enter an uncontrolled chemical reaction, and catch fire in the cargo hold where no crew member can reach them. The FAA rule is black and white. Any lithium-ion battery that cannot be removed by hand without tools is banned from both cargo and cabin. The CT scanners now active at major US airports detect battery density through the shell of the suitcase itself. They do not need to open it. A sales consultant named Marcus showed up at Dallas-Fort Worth with a $450 smart case. The battery was removable, but only with a torque screwdriver packed inside the checked bag. With 22 minutes to boarding, the airline would not wait. He abandoned the suitcase, made his flight to a $3,200 client meeting, and never got the bag back. The airline's position was simple. Not their problem. Here is what this actually costs you. You are at the check-in counter, not security, with no time to repack, no TSA appeal process, and no refund. A $400 suitcase drops into a disposal bin in 3 minutes. The gate does not hold. So what do most people get wrong? And what do the smart ones actually do? Most people assume a premium brand means TSA compliance. What actually works is checking the spec sheet for the words tool-free battery removal before you buy. Most people pack spare power banks inside the bag by habit. What actually works is carrying every lithium-ion component in your carry-on every single time. Here is the insider move. Buy a standard suitcase and attach an AirTag, same tracking, 0 compliance risk. Get your luggage sorted and you have cleared the first filter. But 2026 has added a second category that most travelers assume is completely harmless. It is not. The second category is portable power, the highest volume confiscation category at US airports right now. You packed your 26,800 milliamp hour power bank in your checked bag because your carry-on was full. The scanner at the oversized bag station flags it. A TSA officer removes it in a back room. You find the TSA notification slip when you land 6 hours later. Here is what is actually going on. The Federal Aviation Administration Hazardous Materials Regulations measure power banks in watt hours, not milliamp hours. Most people have never run the conversion. Milliamp hours multiplied by voltage. Typically 3.7 volts divided by 1000. A 26,800 milliamp hour battery is approximately 99 watt hours. Under 100 watt hours, it is carry-on only. Between 100 and 160 watt hours requires written airline approval before you fly. Over 160 watt hours is a full ban. Every spare lithium-ion battery is forbidden from checked luggage, full stop. And here is the rule catching people off guard in 2026. If a TSA officer cannot physically read the watt-hour rating, they are trained to confiscate the device. Worn label, faded print, off-brand unit with no English specs, gone. A photographer named Diana brought her Anker 737 power bank, 140 watt hours, technically in the approval zone, through Chicago O'Hare. She had gotten verbal approval from the airline, but not in writing. The officer could not locate the label clearly on the scanner image. Diana showed it physically, but a bag identification sticker was partially covering the watt-hour text. A supervisor was called. 26 minutes of review. She made the flight by 4 minutes. The sticker nearly cost her the device. Here is what this actually costs you. No receipt, no replacement, no appeals process. A 140 watt-hour power bank is $80 to $160, gone. If you are mid-trip, you are improvising your entire power situation from that point forward. Most people measure power banks in milliamp hours and assume that is the compliance number. What actually works is calculating watt hours before you travel and keeping the manufacturer's label completely unobstructed. Most people pack power banks into checked luggage when carry-on space runs tight. What actually works is treating every spare battery as carry-on mandatory, no exceptions. Here is the insider move. Carry a printed screenshot of the device's spec sheet with the watt-hour rating circled. A TSA officer question becomes a 5-second handoff, not a 26-minute inspection. Fix your power bank situation and you've dodged one major delay. But ask yourself, when did you last actually check your grooming bag? Because the next category is where that assumption gets expensive. Here's a number that should stop you. The TSA confiscated over 4,500 personal grooming devices at US airports in 2024 alone. And with AI-enhanced CT scanning now active at all 25 Category X airports, that number is tracking higher in 2026. This next category is the one most travelers never see coming. The third category is personal grooming electronics. You pack your electric razor, your cordless beard trimmer, and your partner's lithium-ion hair straightener into the toiletry bag. The bin goes on the belt, the screen lights up, an officer pulls the tray and asks you to remove the straightener. You say it is just a hair tool. She says it is not about what it is about what the scanner sees. Here's what is actually going on. AI-powered CT scanning builds a three-dimensional density and wiring map, not an object identification. A cordless straightener contains a lithium-ion battery, a heating element, and connecting wiring. A profile nearly identical to an improvised heating device on the scanner. The TSA threshold is this. If a device shows a wiring and heat element signature with no visible locking mechanism, it is pulled for secondary inspection. There is an additional layer most travelers do not know. If a cordless tool activates on the belt, vibrating, clicking, or lighting up, it receives an automatic enhanced inspection, not a wave through. A makeup artist named Claire packed 3 cordless styling tools for a destination event in Miami, all within TSA guidelines as she understood them. At Miami International, the officer had never seen her butane curler variant. He called a second officer. Neither felt comfortable with the canister classification. 34 minutes later, the curler was confiscated under discretionary safety authority, the provision that allows any officer to remove any item they consider a potential risk, without a written rule violation required. Claire lost $95 because no one at that checkpoint could confidently clear it. Here is what this actually costs you. A 34-minute secondary inspection means missed boarding group, lost overhead bin space, and a tight connection that becomes a missed flight. The officer does not apologize. The airline does not hold. Most people assume that if an item passed before, it will pass again. What actually works is understanding that officer discretion is the final authority always. Most people pack hair tools loose in a toiletry bag. What actually works is using a hardshell case with a visible switch lock so the officer immediately sees it is secured. Here is the insider move that frequent flyers use. A printed packing card listing each device, battery type, and watt-hour rating handed to the officer before a single question is asked. It signals competence and cuts inspection time in half. Clear your grooming bag and you've navigated 3 of the biggest triggers. What's left is the one nobody sees coming, and it's the most avoidable mistake on this entire list. The 4th category is nicotine and smoking electronics, and the rules here are absolute. You vape. You've flown domestically a dozen times without anyone saying a word, so the device goes into your checked bag alongside your deodorant. You land, open your suitcase, and find a TSA slip where it used to be. Here's what's actually going on. Vapes are a dual risk classification under Federal Aviation Administration statute. A lithium-ion fire hazard plus a liquid leak risk in a single device. Electronic cigarettes are categorically banned from checked luggage. It is written into federal aviation law, not discretionary policy. The new AI overlay identifies the battery and liquid reservoir profile of a vape through a closed suitcase. You do not have to declare it. The scanner already knows it's there. A frequent traveler named Travis packed his device in his checked bag for an overnight Denver to Phoenix run. He had done it before. The CT system flagged the bag in automated screening. No human review needed. He found the slip at the hotel. On his return flight, a recent confiscation notation in the system triggered secondary bag screening, adding 22 minutes to his departure. One packed device cost him time on both legs of the trip. Here's what this actually costs you. Modern vape mods run $60 to $150. A confiscation flag can follow you for 90 days of enhanced screening. And internationally, in Thailand, Singapore, and Australia, vape possession escalates from confiscation to fines quickly. Most people treat vapes like any small electronic and pack them wherever. What actually works is carry-on only, device powered off, pod removed on every single flight. Here is the insider move for international travel. Buy a cheap disposable at your destination instead of risking confiscation or a customs fine at the border. And on plasma lighters, marketed as TSA friendly, they are genuinely unreliable in practice. TSA guidance says they may be allowed in carry-on with accidental activation protection. In 2026, that phrase means it is entirely the officer's call. Some airports allow them, others do not. The fix is boring. Carry a standard disposable lighter and save yourself the gamble. The fifth category is the one nobody talks about. Specialty electronics and disguised devices. You are a content creator traveling with 2 drone batteries, an action camera, a USB charger with wireless charging, and a pen camera for street footage. All of it is legal. You have researched the rules, then the scanner flags your bag, and a supervisor walks over. Here is what is actually going on. An AI overlay is trained to flag shape anomalies, objects whose internal profile does not match their external appearance. A standard USB charger has a predictable architecture with a transformer, a capacitor, and a plug assembly. A USB charger that hides a camera contains a lens housing, a memory chip, and wiring that leads nowhere visible. On the scanner, it appears as a charger with unexplained internal components, the textbook definition of an anomaly. TSA training materials call these dual-use anomalies, and they receive the same scrutiny as improvised devices. This applies equally to pen cameras, clock recorders, and anything that visually claims to be one object while functioning as another. A videographer named Soren was stopped at JFK with a hidden camera USB unit he used for B-roll. It was fully legal. An officer pulled the bag, flagged the anomaly, and called a supervisor. The inspection lasted 41 minutes. Soren made boarding by 3 minutes only because he had production credentials and allowed the officer to photograph the device internal housing. Without those credentials, that device would not make the flight. Here is what this actually costs you. 41 minutes of secondary inspection means missed boarding position, a lost overhead bin, and a connection that may not survive. Once an officer decides the device is too ambiguous, no argument at the checkpoint reverses it. Most people assume legal means clearable. What actually works is understanding the scanner does not know the law. It only flags anomalies, and an officer decides. Many people pack drone batteries without markings. What actually works is taping the brand name, the model, and the watt-hour rating directly onto each cell. An unlabeled lithium polymer cell over 100 watt-hours triggers automatic secondary inspection every time. Many people carry specialty electronics without documentation. What actually works is bringing the original packaging or a printed product listing so an officer can confirm the device in 30 seconds. Here is the insider move. Carry a laminated one-page equipment manifest that lists every specialty device, its function, and its watt-hour rating, and include a product web address. Hand that to the officer at the first question. 40-minute inspections become 4 minutes. 3 rules to leave with. Any lithium-ion battery that is not labeled, locked, and in your carry-on is already a problem waiting to happen. Officer discretion is the final authority. No written rule guarantees clearance if the officer is not comfortable. Documentation is armor. The traveler with a spec sheet and a packing manifest moves through faster every time. You are now ahead of 95% of the people standing in that line tomorrow. If this kept money in your bag, hit subscribe and share it with someone packing right now.